Hi guys, and welcome back to the FKFM podcast. So today's episode is going to be the first episode of the Q&A series. So what I'm going to do is, alongside the education series, I'm going to have a Q&A series where I will just pop the questions thing on Instagram. Generally choose 5 questions each episode and then run through them in as much detail as possible and cover them as best as I can. I will also, at some point soon, once I've established the podcast a little bit more, I will get guests on. Generally, there'll be like guest interviews where I'll probably ask them questions that I've got, but I may ask again Instagram to ask people questions. And over time, I'll probably get people on for these Q&As as well, and even for the education ones as well. People that are like experts in their field and so on. But obviously, we're only early days of the podcast, but that's sort of what I'm wanting to do over time. So today's episode, I've got 5 questions. So thank you to the people that asked them on Instagram. I had a few more. I probably had like 9 or 10, but it's only been a few hours since I posted. But I've picked 5 good ones that I can delve into. I don't really want to be covering what's your current macros, those kind of questions. I want ones that I can actually give people value on, versus just what am I doing, what am I eating kind of thing. Okay, so the first question was from I guess a lad called Jord, and some numbers after his name. So his question was, how do you know when to increase calories in the off season? So I actually had this question twice, or very similar. So what I would suggest is track your body weight, track your training, and also make sure that you're taking at least weekly photos as well. So then you've got body weight data, you've got visual data, and you've got training data. So they're the 3 things that we need in order to determine when to push food up or bring food down, or whatever phase we need to move into. So body weight wise, if your body weight is decreasing and you're in the gaining phase, then we need to be pushing food up. So what I would suggest is, don't just weigh yourself once a week, or don't just weigh yourself once and take that as, okay, that's my weight. Weigh yourself daily, ideally as well, the same time each day. So what I say to all my clients is just get up, go to the toilet. So as soon as you wake up, go to the toilet and then weigh in. So it's very accurate first thing in the morning. That'll be your daily weigh-in, and then I would take a weekly average of that as well. But then even then, don't only focus on that weekly average. Look at the trend over weeks. So like if I have a client who, let's say, has gained, let's say over 4 weeks, for 3 weeks in a row, they've gained 2 pounds a week. And then for the 4th week, they go down by half a pound. Okay. I don't need to then be like, oh no, we need to push food up. They've gained 6 pounds over the last 3 weeks prior. So you need to look at the trend over the previous weeks as well. Let's say you've gone up by 2 pounds, down by a pound, up by £1.50 pounds, down by a pound, up by 2 pounds, down by a pound. Over 6 weeks, you're still going up in a nice gradual rate. That's when it comes to the importance of visual data. So you need to be taking photos at least weekly. Again, ideally, same spot, same angle, same lighting. So you've got consistency, same time each day of each week, let's say. So you need the visual data to go off to determine whether you can push on more or you need to pull back. So some people can get away with pushing on faster than others. Some people will need to progress at a slower rate of gain. But like I say, ideally, if body weight is dropping over time and you're trying to be in a gaining phase, or if the trend over the last few weeks is that you're not really going up in terms of body weight, then I would push food up, but only if the visual data is saying that you should as well. If you're starting to look really soft and you're not benefiting from the added weight, then you're likely going to need to mini cut. So then when it comes to the training data, the importance of having your training data is your training progressing? If it is, and even if body weight is stalling, then you don't need to worry too much about, okay, I really need to push food up. If your training's feeling amazing, if everything's flying, if you're progressing with the same execution and week on week, you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger, just because body weight's not creeped up over the last couple of weeks, 2-3 weeks, isn't an issue. You probably in a good spot to just keep making that body weight look better, keep improving that composition at that same body weight before you need to push on and push food up. Often I'll have clients almost just own a body weight and just make it look better and better and better for a few weeks before we push on, especially if they've pushed on quite aggressively for a few weeks. And let's say body weight's increased a little bit more than we'd like over the past 4 weeks. If we then hold over the next 4 weeks, but make it look better and better and better, we're still progressing. You don't need to keep pushing on, because all that's going to do is just mean that over, like, let's say over the next month or so, you're going to end up needing to mini cut when you could have instead done a more gradual gaining phase for 3 months and therefore be in a better position come the end of that, versus having to do, let's say, an aggressive push up, then mini cut, then push up again. So often people, need to understand that holding a body weight for a little bit of time, especially if previously you've pushed up quite well, isn't a bad thing, especially if, or only if, your training is progressing. That's the main focus, is how is your training going? So almost think you need to earn your food increases, earn those progressions in terms of food through training harder, getting stronger in the gym, and just becoming, let's say, more efficient, upregulating your metabolism, being in a position where your food has to increase because you are training so hard and getting bigger and stronger that your body needs more fuel. So almost you'll know then when you need to increase the calories. So yeah, that's pretty much that question answered. So the second question that I wanted to cover was from, I'll say who they're from. I think it makes it a bit more personable. I don't know the person's actual name, G. Mandir. So thank you for the question. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Thoughts on PSMF, which is protein sparing modified fast. So to be honest, like I haven't read into it a hell of a lot, because I often think that any kind of diet or any kind of fast or anything like that, I just think is unnecessary, to be honest. Anything that's got the word diet after it, or anything that's got the word fast after it, or fasting or anything like that, generally you don't need to be that in depth. For me, when it comes to a fat loss phase, you just need to be in a consistent deficit. How you create that deficit is completely up to you. For me, it doesn't need to be given a term or made complicating or made too technical. You just need to make sure that you've got your calories in a good spot, and make sure that you're tracking your expenditure and your body weight, and over time, constantly seeing body weight drops. I don't think you need to overcomplicate what type of diet you're doing, or what kind of deficit you're in, how you're in that deficit. But in terms of my actual opinion on it, so I'm pretty sure that, like, traditionally it's like an 800 calorie diet, or less than 800 calories, I think. I don't know, that might be wrong, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it's like traditionally was. And then you'd have like an intense phase and a refeed phase, and I'm pretty sure it was tailored more to like solely obese clients or obese individuals versus, let's say, bodybuilders. I think that's right anyway. Like I say, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it was like over a decent amount of time, like 4 to 6 months or something, and you'd have an intense period where you'd be on really low calories, and then you'd have a refeed period where you'd push up. In terms of like my thoughts on that, again, like 100% people will lose fat because they're on less than 800 calories or around 800 calories. You're going to lose fat, of course you are, but you could do so, in my opinion, in a more optimal way by allowing yourself to have a little bit more carbohydrates to help in terms of training performance and recovery. Because I'm pretty sure, obviously, less than 800 calories, when you're on a good amount of protein, your fats and your carbs are very low. I think rather than a long period of time, I'd much rather do it over a short period of time. I think a lot of it makes sense for a mini cut, let's say 4 to 6 weeks, something like that, potentially even less than that. I think it makes a lot of sense, because generally you're going to be likelihood that you're going to see any performance drop in that short amount of time in a mini cut. Even when you do push your food quite low, the drop in performance is minimal because of the short time frame of the diet and the fact that you've got that fat stored as energy to tap into as your fuel source. I wouldn't want to do a protein sparing modified fast for a 6-month prep. I think that would be a stupid decision. But yeah, I think for a mini cut, it makes sense. But again, you don't need to overcomplicate it. I wouldn't say to my clients, right, we're going to do a protein sparing modified fast. I'd just say, right, we're going to do a mini cut, and they'll probably be on relatively low carbs and fats, but we're not going to do the traditional protein sparing diet. Because like I say, for me, I'd much rather people have a little bit more carbohydrates in the diet to prioritize training performance and recovery, and a little bit more calories, overall total calories anyway. In terms of, I'm pretty sure as well, like with the protein sparing diet, people will supplement like vitamins, minerals, just to make sure that obviously if you're having such a hypocaloric diet, you might be missing out on those kind of micronutrients. You might be missing out on some of those, and your electrolyte balance might not be great. So you've obviously got that to take into account. But for me, like I say, you don't need to overcomplicate a diet. Same with the gaining phase. You know, I wouldn't say to people, right, we're going to do this special diet to push you on and grow, or we're going to do, you know, you're in a deficit or you're in a surplus, depending on the phase that you want to be in. I don't think it needs overcomplicating, to be honest. So that's my opinion on that. Next question. So this one was from a lad called Sean, who I'm guessing is a young lad, because his question was advice of a 16-year-old aspiring to get bigger but stay lean. So advice to a 16-year-old. Yeah. So advice to a 16-year-old aspiring to get bigger but stay lean. So first of all, knowing what I know now, when I was 16, I wouldn't have been worried about staying lean. I'd have just eaten and grown, because you're in such a good position to grow when you start training. You're going to have anything you do, you're going to grow. So just enjoy your training. Like, simple as that. Just enjoy training. Just go to the gym, enjoy it, pick stuff up, put it back down. Don't overthink, because whatever you do at that time, you will grow. But make sure that you're eating enough, and don't. I know you've asked to stay lean, and I will cover that at the end of the question. But if it was me, I wouldn't be worried about staying lean. And I guarantee you speak to anyone who's my age or older, and it's weird saying that, I'm only 23. But they'll say the exact same, that I wish when I was younger, I'd have known what I know now. And like I say, knowing what I know now, I would have eaten a lot more at that age. I would have trained a lot harder at that age. I would have still trained and enjoyed it, but I've trained harder. But again, when you're starting and you're young, you think you're training as hard as you can, and you are. You know, you tap into the new levels of intensity over time. But I would have just eaten and not worried about being lean, not worried about having abs, not worried about how I look. Generally, I'd have just tried to solely be focused on performance, and that's what I would do looking back. But I know that's hard as a young lad. You know, you've got the pressures of school, of college, of people, you know, trying to impress people at that age and being overly worried about what people think at that age, which is normal. Like, I'm not trying to be patronizing or anything like that. I was like that. Everyone's like that at 16 or at school age, college age. But if this lad, Sean, asking the question, if you are strong enough mentally to just eat and grow, you'll be so much better off by the time you're in your 20s than if you try and stay lean now. You'll have so much more muscle if you just eat and train hard and not worry about how you look and just focus on performance. Generally, as a young lad, I don't know what you look like, but let's say for most 16-year-olds, they're going to be relatively small and skinny, let's say. You can get away with quite an intense rate of gain, because one, like I say, you are, you know, anything that you do, you'll grow. So, you know, you can generally eat quite a lot and just go and train and you'll grow. But also at that age, you're very active. You'll likely have quite an active lifestyle where you're burning quite a lot of calories outside of training as well. So, you know, you're in one of the best positions, because you're new to training and because you're young, to eat a lot and train really hard and grow a lot, and make the most of sort of those newbie gains. So don't be too worried about the sort of the rate of gain. Don't be too worried about, like, say, how you're looking. Just really focus on training hard and eating a lot. But I know you've said that you want to stay lean, so I will answer it in that context as well. So if you do really, really want to stay lean, and and almost go against my advice of not worrying about that too much, then keep your protein really high. So absolute minimum of 1 gram per pound of body weight, ideally up to 1.5, potentially even as high as 2. Reason being the fact that you're saying that you want to stay lean, the higher protein you're on, likelihood is you're not going to overeat through carbs and fats, and protein's going to be the most satiating. So likelihood is, I'm not going to say that you can get bigger without putting on as much fat just through having higher protein, but there is some slight warrant behind that, pushing your protein a lot higher in regards to putting on, let's say, less fat when you're in a gaining phase. But that's a topic for another time. But yeah, keep your protein high, be in a slight caloric surplus. So obviously, you're wanting to grow but stay lean. So don't be in such a high surplus or such a great surplus that you're putting on weight too fast. Look at a really slow and gradual rate of gain. Even though I know this is contradicting what I've said, but I am saying that this is against my advice. But if you really want to stay lean, then this is what you should do. And track your visual data, or have visual data through photos, track your body weight, and just make sure that you're visually staying lean while your training is progressing. Simple as that. But that isn't my advice. My advice is just focus on performance and eat and grow. But if you do want to stay lean, that's my other advice. So I've covered that twice, really. I've covered what I think you should do, but what you want to do, and how I think you should do what you want to do. Okay, next one then was benefits of ashwagandha. Question was by a guy called, I think you pronounce it Cian, Cian. So benefits of ashwagandha, generally it's just going to be a cortisol management supplement, or a cortisol management tool, a stress management tool. It's going to reduce stress. It's going to put us in a better position to rest and recover. It's going to help us be in a parasympathetic state outside of training. So we have 2 branches to our autonomic nervous system. So we've got a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. We want to be in a parasympathetic state as often as possible outside of training. So this is our relaxed state. This is when we're in a good position to eat and digest our food, and a good position to rest and recover and grow. So outside of training, we want to be relaxed and in this parasympathetic state. So taking ashwagandha can help with that because of its cortisol sort of aid, reducing cortisol, as well as it can help in reducing anxiety as well, which again will help keep you in a parasympathetic state and keep you relaxed outside of training. Outside of that, there are some minor things and some potential benefits. So one of those is potential increases in testosterone, but this is more so in infertile men, rather than sort of let's say normal or not infertile. I don't want to say normal. That sounds like mean, sounds harsh. But yeah, so there has been some slight benefit shown to taking ashwagandha in regards to increasing testosterone in infertile men, and also in strength training men. So there is potential there that it could help with increasing testosterone. But generally, any natural test booster, or anything that claims that it's a natural supplement that increases testosterone, it's not going to have any noticeable benefits really. And then there's also a potential increase in power output. There's been some studies showing that ashwagandha can help in power output as well. But again, the actual evidence isn't great on that. The main evidence, really, the main sort of body of evidence is on its benefits in terms of reducing anxiety and reducing cortisol and stress. And like I've said, the benefits that come with that. So I think that's that one covered. I would recommend it as well, to be honest, ashwagandha, because I've had it in for a long time, and I do think it definitely helps. I noticed a benefit a lot when I had it in, when I first had it in. Now it's just a staple, and I would get, if you're going to get it in KSM 66 formula, or the version ashwagandha KSM 66, just because that's going to be the sort of best one in terms of the most, how do I put it, most available in terms of how most absorbable, almost. The best version in terms of us absorbing it and actually using it is the KSM 66 one. Okay, so final question was from Jack Love Jones. If anyone doesn't know Jack, follow him on Instagram. He's a sound guy, and he's a very impressive physique. He'll do very well in natural bodybuilding in either next year. I think he's competing next year, if not the year after. He's very good. So yeah, thanks for the question, mate. His question was, do I want to become a prep coach in the future or stick with lifestyle clients? So currently I have probably, do I have 3 or 4 clients, I think, right now that are looking to compete next year. 1 or 2 that I'm pretty sure 100% will compete next year. And then I've got probably 5 or 6 that are looking at 2022. So I guess already now I do feel a little bit like a prep coach because I'm kind of setting people's sights to compete. But majority of my clients are lifestyle clients, which I do enjoy. I do enjoy it. I find it very hard to grasp some people's mindset and how some people are. I'm not the type of coach to almost mother someone or be like congratulating someone for going to the gym or congratulating someone for not binging or not, getting their steps or hitting their steps once a week. Like for me, I'm like, no, you need to be on it with all variables. And that's hard with lifestyle clients because you've got to remember that not everyone wants to be a bodybuilder. And it is hard, but obviously, if you want to get good results, you need to be on it and you need to be meticulous with your variables. I'm not, stupid, and I'm not going to get, a 40-year-old woman, doing the same that I'm going to get a 22-year-old, a 40-year-old like woman lifestyle fat loss client doing the same as a 22-year-old lad who wants to win a junior British title. Like, I'm not, going to treat them the same, but I'm still going to want the 40-year-old woman to be doing everything she can and everything that's in program to make, get her the best results she possibly could. So yeah, like I do enjoy doing both. I sometimes find it harder with lifestyle clients, but to be honest, right now, all of my clients are really, really, really on it, which is great, and I'm very grateful for that. I have had clients in the past that are an absolute nightmare and can be a challenge, and I do have some at the minute who they go through times where they're doing really well and they fall off it, and you've got to be patient with people like that, and you've got to try your best to keep them on board. But for the most part, at the minute especially, all my clients are really, really killing it, which is great, and it makes my job a lot easier and a lot more fun. But yeah, to sort of answer the question, I don't think I'll ever be solely just a prep coach, because the reward of completely changing someone's life who's either, like, let's say, not trained at all or never understood energy balance, or think they've tried everything to lose fat, but they still, they don't understand energy balance, so they haven't, but they think they have. Like, getting people to understand things like that and changing their lives like almost like completely is very rewarding and very cool and very fun to watch the process and help in the process. So I don't think I'll ever say, right, I'm never going to do like lifestyle clients anymore. But like, let's say 5-ish years from now, like I would like to be pretty much exclusively doing not like elite level people, but people who want to compete at some point. I might do, like I say, the odd lifestyle client. I doubt I'll ever say I'm never going to do it, but you never know. I'll never say I'm not going to take on lifestyle clients at some point, but you do never know. But yeah, I want to be at a point where I can pick and choose sort of the clients that I want to coach, and generally they're at a very high level or a good level. And I don't think there's any reason I can't get to that as well. I don't think there's any reason at all. So yeah, never say never to being solely a prep coach, but I think I would miss the benefits of completely, changing someone's life and, peeling off 150 plus pounds off someone is very cool, and something I would almost miss helping with if I was just a prep coach. But yeah, I think that's the podcast done. I'll leave it there. So that was 5 questions. I think it was about half an hour. I wanted to aim to make sure that this wasn't much longer than half an hour. Don't know how long it's been. But yeah, I'll leave it there. So Thank you for asking the questions. Sorry to the people that I didn't get to the questions done. Just like I said, I wanted to choose the best questions and make sure that this would provide as much value as possible. But I'll do these consistently. I'll probably do one of these a week, as well as the education series. And like I say, I'll get some guest ones done at some point soon as well. But thank you all for listening. And any questions that you've got for next time, please send them over on the Instagram story, and then I can cover them in the next episode. But yeah, that's everything, guys. Thank you for listening, and I will catch up with you in the next one.